In today's video, I'm going to be designing some sprites and a background for a little pixel art game I'm designing. So come along with me as I begin my pixel art journey. To preface, I am not a pixel artist. I'm primarily a comic artist, but I have so much love for the pixel art style, I wanted to do my own art. I've seen some amazing pixel art by extremely talented pixel artists, as well as gorgeous indie games in this style. It's become quite popular in the last 10 years or so, and it's always something I wanted to see if I was any good at. This won't be my first pixel artwork, but it will definitely be my biggest and most ambitious. To start, I did some sketches of the protagonist of my game, Hercules. I wanted this game to be based off of the 12 labors of Hercules, which are a series of trials he must go through as penance for killing his family. This version is a little bit more family-friendly, and I wanted him to be little Hercules, a much younger, youthful Hercules. Instead of killing his loved ones, he steals some sacred sheep from the gods. This Hercules is definitely a little more mischievous and childish. The original Greek mythology story, he is a much more mature and serious character. I'm a huge Greek mythology fan, so basing a little game off of Greek mythology felt like a no-brainer for me. Once I was happy with my sketches, I brought them into Pixsquare to turn them into pixel art. I wasn't sure how this would work, but importing a regular sketch into the program does convert it into your bit size, and unless you're drawing on a tiny scale like 8-bit, retains a lot of quality. I used it to trace over as I really liked my sketches and I wanted it to be as close as possible. For the canvas size, I'm using 64 by 64 bits, which means you can get quite a few details in there. Since I'm a noob at pixel art, I wanted to be able to add lots of details, so the canvas is pretty big for just a character. It's definitely a skill to be able to have recognizable features the smaller you go, and definitely good practice if you're not used to this style. The cool thing about pixel art is you don't need to worry as much about rendering or line straightness, or the nitpicky details you do when working with regular painting. You are much more concerned about communicating as much as you can, as intelligently as you can, with a limited size and space. Color is also extremely important. It's just as important as any other art style, but in this case, it's much more obvious than other styles. I feel you can push the extremes more, as it's not about realism, but creating complementary colors in value and hue. There's a site called LowSpec, which has tons of color palettes you can import into your art program. You can really see how important color is and the unique combos you can do just by browsing. I downloaded 2 I found with a good palette and used them for all the pieces in this one and the following pieces that I do. Before I get too lost in color theory, let's go back to the subject. Little Hercules is the main protagonist of this game idea. You go through each of the 12 trials with him until you're finally free, so to speak. His age, I'd put around 10 or 11, so just a kid, but almost a tween. For his sprite, I gave him the Nemean lion skin, which was the first beast Hercules had to kill in his trials. As a spoil of war, you can now wear the lion skin as a huge armor buff. At the end of each trial, you're given an item to commemorate the fight or task. Since the labors are not always battles, but tasks of the mind, we can tweak this one a little to have a mini-boss at the end of the task. The trials also took around 12 years for the real Hercules to complete, but we can condense this down to a year for simplicity's sake. I haven't come up with a name for this game idea yet. If you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments. I feel like just calling it the 12 labors might be a little too boring, so I'll have to come up with something creative. And as far as the game aspect of this, currently I'm just making art for it. I have very minimal coding experience, but since I am married to a programmer, there's a chance it will be a collab project in the future. Games take a long time to make, but hopefully one day I can have at least a proof of concept to share with you all. The end goal is definitely to have a playable platformer adventure game, but the timeline is where I am not sure about. In the meantime, just making and sharing art for it is really fun, and I love exploring new art styles. As I create more levels and characters, I will be sure to share them with you. This is a shameless plug, but you can follow me on Instagram or Cara to see my art and any concepts I make for this or other stuff. All my social links are always in my channel or in the description below. For the next character, my original plan was to do one of the beasts from the trials, like the Hydra or the Dragon Protector of the Golden Apples, but I really wanted to do one of the gods of Olympus, so I went with Aries. Hercules does canonically fight him, so I thought it would make sense that he would be a foil to his quest. My idea is he acts as a mini-boss during one of the tasks that does not require killing a creature. I'd love to do a whole character sheet of all the main Olympian gods in my own interpretation, but one step at a time. Since red is often associated with war and is the main color you see Aries wear, I leaned into that and gave him red skin, cloak, and used purple as accents. I gave him boar tusks as well, as the boar is one of Aries' sacred animals. I actually wish I could have kept him just the one color for each section. I think when I go back into render and add shading, it doesn't look as good as the original blocky colors. I think it still looks alright, but I think I preferred the simple style better. But since everything else in this game has a multi-shaded style, I couldn't just leave it the way it was. Overall, I think the only thing I should have workshopped more was his spear. I'm not sure if it comes across as a spear exactly. I knew I wanted it to look a lot bigger than a normal spear, but I didn't do anything interesting to the pole. I definitely will come back to this one if it ever becomes a game. The final piece is, of course, the main level. I knew I wanted lots of that classic Greek architecture, some statues, and some mountains and vast landscapes. I sketched everything beforehand, again, in 2D and Procreate, imported to Pixsquare, and got to work. I think I went a little too complex when I was drawing it in 2D, but it's hard to stop once you get going. I really wanted a cohesive color palette for this one. I started out doing the marble work and pillars a little bit lighter. I do add some orange tinting to them later. I think they're a bit too light and the oranges look better with all the greenery behind it. Now, I'm a noob not only with pixel art, but with Pixsquare. So if you're familiar with this program, you probably know way more shortcuts and ways to make what I'm doing a lot faster. I I do enjoy the slow process of drawing, and I don't usually mind it if something takes longer because I'm not using all the faster methods, and I'm not selling this, so it's okay. Art is more of a journey. It's not just about the final result, but what you learned along the way. That was a little more poetic than I meant it to be, but you know what I mean. I had some references for pink and yellow clouds with a hazy purple sky, and I really wanted to add that to this piece, although at the time I wasn't sure if that was too many colors. In the end, it does look good, but I wanted to keep those separate layers in case I changed my mind. I think pixel art is a good way to flex color theory and try out unique color combinations you might be too nervous to try in regular painting. I know I can get too comfortable with my go-to color palettes, so it never hurts to try new things. For the ground, I didn't keep it in the same perspective with everything else, but I just kept it a simple grid of stone, which I've commonly seen in platformer levels or fighting games. I'm not sure what it is exactly about keeping the ground in a different perspective, but I kind of like the way it looks, so I wanted to try it out here. I'm not using a whole lot of technique here. I try to do the line art on a separate layer and color on another. Some areas like the sky and greenery background I also kept on separate layers, just in case I wanted to tweak those, but not everything else. I haven't explored all the features of this program yet, so I'm not sure how many effects are available. I really am enjoying using it though, and I've only ever used Pixel Studio on my phone before, as far as a specific pixel art program. The other times that I've done pixel art were a couple sprites, and I ended up doing those in Clip Studio. The statues I painted are not any goddesses in particular, but I knew I wanted them to act as pillars before the long stairway to the Great Hall of the Gods, kind of like they're judging you before you make your way up there. As a quick aside, I do know the Greek pronunciation of Hercules is Hercules, but I think most people are more familiar with his Roman pronunciation, so I'm just going to stick with that one. This level design would be the path to Eurystheus, who is the king that imposes the labors on you in the first place. Each time you complete a labor, you must return to him with proof of the labor. So I wanted to make sure this was a pretty detailed level, as you would be returning to it after each section. In this particular instance, Aries meets you on the way back to returning to the palace and decides to pick a fight with you. I think the game itself would be pretty linear. If I'm trying to make it a game I could achievably make, I don't think I would want to add too many additional quests. I also don't think I would charge too much money for this game because of that. Maybe $10, $15. To be a little creative, I would stick to the main story of the 12 labors, but add extra characters or little story beats the actual story doesn't go into. I think my strong suit is character development, so I would lean into that and try to make the characters a little more interesting than they are written down. The final labor is the one I'm most excited to draw a level for. I almost did that for this video, but I felt a Greek countryside was a little more appealing to see. The final labor is where Hercules must defeat and capture Cerberus, the three-headed dog that guards the underworld. I think lava-based levels are pretty cool, so that seems fun to draw. I probably wouldn't make another video on it, but just reveal the artwork to you, unless you really want to see it, and then you can let me know, and I certainly will try and make a video on it. I'm pretty excited to do Cerberus himself. I think drawing a three-headed dog would be pretty fun. This piece is pretty large on the pixel scale. I was unfamiliar with a lot of the common sizes used for games, So I did a little research and decided I wanted as many extra pixels as I could get for the extra detail. The pixel ratio I ended up going with was 426 by 240. I've been looking at this on an iPad, so I'd probably need to adjust it to a normal PC monitor, like adding a little bit extra to the sides. I definitely want to avoid any black bars anywhere if I can, as I think that can detract from a game. For the greenery background, I tried not to get too detailed, although there definitely is a lot of variations in the greens that I added. I wanted some cool blues to tie into the mountains, which are very purple, as well as the rocks, which are also blue and purple. I added some moss to the top of the rocks, and I added a cute little grape tree just because. After I finished everything, I knew I wanted to add some UI elements to the piece as well, just to make it look, like it actually is a still from a video game. So I added a health bar for Hercules and a stamina bar. And then I also added an icon for Hercules. The icon I ended up going with is just a portrait of him on a golden drachma. I'm not sure if it comes across exactly as a gold coin. In my mind it did, but I'll leave that up to you whether you think it looks like it or not. Kind of does, but I think it still looks kind of cool. Also, about towards the end of this whole process, you probably noticed I changed the design of Pixsquare, all the icons and everything. You can download different themes for this program, and I thought this one was really cute. So I added it, and I figured I don't really know where everything is yet, so it's probably good to do it now while I don't know the layout very well. I also wanted to add some kind of inventory system. I wanted to keep it really simple, as when I was looking up different platformers and Metroidvania style games, most of them have a very simple UI, which makes sense. You don't want to get bogged down by a bunch of elements that will just distract you from the very difficult gameplay. So I thought just a little pouch with a gold coin next to it would be simple enough. And if you wanted to see more details, then you could just click on the bag and you would see all your inventory, your weapons, potions, what have nots. And then I just added the characters. I tried to keep them to scale. I did have to scale down Hercules a little bit, which is, I think that's all right. I think you still retain a lot of the pixel quality. And then I added a health bar with Aries' name. I definitely fiddle with the font a little bit. I was just kind of making things up as I went along. And I do end up changing the red health bar to gold, as the gods actually have golden blood. I think it's called Ichor or Ichor. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that. So that's it for this video. I think it came out pretty good. I had a lot of fun doing it. I learned a lot of new things. And if you also enjoyed this video, please check out my other videos and consider subscribing. I normally post every week and a half, so around every 10 days, and I'm always trying something new when it comes to art. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.